if you are Ryan Day or any coach that is looking for a quarterback, and you've got your choice between a steady Eddie like Will Howard, who's won a conference title, who's played a lot of football, who's won a lot of games, or a guy like Caden Salter, who was a P5 talent coming out. He was at Tennessee. He had some off-the-field troubles. He's clearly gone and righted the ship at Liberty, and he's a dynamic kind of a player with passing and running the ball. Are you more intrigued by him to pass up a guy that you can pretty much know that like you've got a baseline in Will Howard?
Yeah, give me Caden Salter. Let's shake it up a little bit. I think we've seen Will Howard pretty much maximized at this point, and I don't think we've fully seen that with Caden Salter. We certainly haven't seen it at the level that he would be bumping up to because Liberty didn't play anybody that was on par with who he'll likely be facing in the first month of the season, much less the entire run wherever he does end up, which is going to be a power conference, one would imagine. So, yeah, give me Caden Salter. He's a real dual threat. I know Will Howard can run a bit as well, but Salter's numbers, when you add in what he can do on the ground, are just mightily impressive. And, again, you take it with a little bit of a caveat of they didn't really play anybody that was really all that good. And then they finally ran into Oregon and things got really nasty really quick. But, I mean, he rushed for over 1,000 yards and had 12 touchdowns on the ground. Pretty much every game of the year he had whatever number of passing yards and a touchdown or two or three or four or five. And then he had almost, it felt like every single week, 100-plus rushing yards and at least one or two touchdowns on the ground. I mean, nearly every single game. So, there is the trade-off as far as the competition that both have faced. But I think if I'm just rolling the dice and I need to spruce up my quarterback room and I'm looking to make the biggest splash, I do think I go Caden Salter over Will Howard because I think there's a bit more untapped potential there with Caden Salter and a little bit more of a dynamic playmaking ability, if that makes sense. And that's not a knock on Will Howard. It's just that I think knowing what we know about both, my only question with Caden Salter would be just – how has he matured? Because he did pretty much get in trouble right away at Tennessee. I don't know the details of what all even happened there, but it wasn't just once. It was twice, I believe, he got in trouble. I think one of them might have been – I don't want to speculate because it was a long time ago that I even remember hearing about it. But he found himself in trouble that doesn't need to be finding himself in. And then he goes to Liberty. He's been there for the past 3 seasons and has seemingly stayed out of trouble. Like, I don't know, though. Okay. I don't ever hear about Liberty in general.
Here is his charges.
Okay.
Simple possession.
Right.
And driving without a license.
Okay, I thought there was something else that was involved.
So that's what he was charged with.
Right.
So if there was something else involved there, but as far as what he was charged with was that, which
I'm referring to what was, I think, maybe the first or the second incident at Tennessee that was a little bit more higher up charge-wise, or would have been, than that. And that's why I don't want to try to talk about it too much because I don't remember exactly. But I feel like there was something else that happened and that I guess maybe he didn't get charges for. But regardless, he found his way getting booted off of Tennessee and having to go to Liberty and had a really, nice run these past couple of seasons, this year in particular. And so that's just my only question. And that's not trying to bog down there. It would be like, has he matured and has he grown up? It sure appears that he has. Mm-hmm. He was clearly a leader for Liberty. But if you can check that box pretty quickly, then yeah, I mean, from a player standpoint, give me the untapped potential of Caden Salter on this level versus what we kind of already know what we're getting with Will Howard at this point, especially when, as we pointed out during the commercial break, I mean, Will Howard got basically jumped by superstar potential-laden freshman in Avery Johnson. So it wasn't just some bum off the street that rolled in and just beat him out, or some walk-on quarterback, or some low-level three-star that beat out a guy who's the potential Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in the discussion at one point following their Big 12 championship run last year. So there's that to it. But, I think Salter's got a lot more that we haven't seen just yet, and that's where I would lean.
Yeah, I do, and I've heard me talk about this before. I love
especially in this go for it or it's all or nothing type of world. Like it's all season to season anyways. So if you're going to go for it, like give me what Salter might be able to do versus what I kind of figure we know Will Howard's going to do.
I also liked the idea of guys being able to go to a Liberty and then prove that they can play ball and then get the shot that he honestly squandered getting arrested.
Right. Started at Tennessee
two times.
Started there.
He didn't even get to it was after spring ball enrolled in January, got arrested a couple times and was gone. Like he was in Knoxville long enough. He probably still got lost driving places. Well, clearly he did because he got pulled over for just that. But like all those things, like if he's turned it around and he was able to do that with Hugh Freeze and Jamie Chadwell, I think he's probably going to wind up at Auburn. It would be my guess, but
that's a possibility.
Or if I'm Hugh Freeze and I can't get the guy that I gave the second chance to back, I'd probably be kicking myself.
No, that would make a lot of sense, and I wasn't even thinking about Hugh Freeze honestly, but yeah, I mean, you already pursued him once, recruited him, had him in the fold for a couple of seasons, and so you know him probably about as well as anybody now at this point who's going to be out there scouring the transfer portal for a quarterback. And obviously Auburn with an okay year, I guess, this past season. Very forgettable in a lot of ways. If you're not an Auburn fan in particular, there wasn't a lot of reasons to pay attention to them, although you're paying close attention to that Iron Bowl there at the end, and they definitely left some more meat on the bone there. But, yeah, that would seem to make a lot of sense just off the top of reuniting those two and having him back in the fold with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, absolutely. But, look, he's going to get a lot of looks. I like the idea. Like, USC just signed a receiver from Tufts.
Yeah.
Tufts, which is famous for things like their dental school.
Yeah.
It's but he's 6'3", 200. He's dominated that league. And so, yeah, why not? Look, if you think you can give him a shot with what you've got at USC, I like that. I love those things. That's my favorite. The Cam Ward stories are my favorite part of the transfer portal. The Jared Versus and Cam Wards and guys who were under-recruited, or like in Jared Versus' case, went to Albany, discovered protein shakes, and then I guess we missed on this guy. So
guys do fall through the cracks somehow still, and sometimes it could be a grades thing. It could be any number of things. But yeah, there are players who, are able to show that they are, or that they belong on a different level. And Cam Ward, I think, is the poster child for that. Or one of those poster boys for that. So, yeah, I love seeing that glow up, or whatever you want to refer to it, that come up as much as anybody. I do think that's a great part of the portal.
Yeah, and look, there are other things like,
but that's not Caden Salter, to be clear.
No.
He started off at Tennessee. So, him going to the SEC wasn't like Cam Ward jumping to the Power 5. But, yeah, I mean, he's somebody who's proven what he can do now. He's played a good bit these past couple of seasons, had a really good year this year. It's just the level of competition was not very good, but beyond that, he's a very talented player. So, yeah, I could definitely see Auburn and a number of others being interested, especially now that the quarterback pool sort of dried up a little bit, and he's just jumped into it. You got something, Garrett?
Does he keep the stupid helmet style at his next stop? That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry. I just had to.
Can you refer to for people that don't know?
Okay, so this helmet looked like it sat about 4 inches off the top of his head. I've never seen anything like that.
So it was the opposite of Major Applewhite, whose helmet sat right here.
It was.
He always looked like he was.
It was brutal. I had to find a picture.
It's one of those extra shells when they were first coming up with the concussion ideas. Remember when they had the extra shell, like Don Beebe used to wear? Was it Don Beebe?
No, Steve Tasker.
Steve Tasker, yeah.
Steve Tasker, yeah.
When you had the extra helmet on the helmet kind of thing, it was where your head looks massive, like you have the big brain or something. Yes. Yeah, that's what salt. Yeah, it looks funky for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Paxton asks KJ Jefferson or Will Howard.
I'd go
Will Howard.
Yeah, I'd go Will Howard there.
Although I do like KJ Jefferson's potential and Gus Malzahn's offense. I think Will Howard would be able to maybe be more of a, you could plug him in a lot more places than maybe KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, and I think, with KJ Jefferson, obviously losing Kendall Briles was a bad thing for him. They had a pretty good chemistry and thing going on there, and then Kendall leaves for TCU, and KJ Jefferson had a clear step back this past season for a number of reasons, but I think that's right there near the top of the list, and so that hurt him, losing Kendall Briles. To be with a guy like Gus Malzahn and company will, I think, definitely benefit KJ Jefferson. But I'd go Will Howard there. But we're probably almost splitting hairs really when you get to a certain level of the quarterbacks. I think it becomes about fit, right, and the coaching and who you've got around you and those types of things. So I could see where Will Howard could be better, but it depends on the situation and all those types of things. But But yeah, he's still out there, and I'm kind of surprised by that. But there's only so many life rafts still out there, at least for the moment.
I think the one that surprised me the most that hasn't got, because they've literally been in on seemingly everybody, and we know their NIL flows pretty regularly. And maybe it's just the desperation is a stinky cologne, is Miami. Mm-hmm. Like I'm really surprised that they have not found one out yet. Like that to me, and I never, like, Cam Ward was taking so long to decide. I really did feel like, especially when it floated out, like the NFL is still on the table for him, that he was just waiting to get to hear from the NFL what he wanted to hear. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he heard that he was like, well, okay, it was cool to go see these couple of places, but he only took 2 visits. So he either knew exactly where he wanted to go between 2 spots, or he was just doing it as the backup plan, which clearly that was, because he's now his way to the NFL. And Miami, I think, put a lot of eggs in that basket because you're kind of waiting and all that, is where, FSU had a different plan of like, okay, I think they were pretty much straight up with DJ, and we're like, hey, this is what we've got going on here. If you can wait. He's like, okay, good deal. I know I'll be in demand. Cam Ward declares to the NFL. Literally, I even text you guys like 20 minutes. You'll hear about DJU, and it was maybe like right on that. Like DJU's going to come. That's going to just knock it down. And so now, you're Miami. You're kind of scrambling as to like what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, but Will Howard's still out there.
Yeah.
And now Malachi Nelson's out there, and there's still players available. So maybe, I guess in theory Cam Ward could change his mind too.
Yeah.
In the next few days, but he does have a clock that's now ticking out there. But yeah, I mean, it's not a barren wasteland now at this point, but the offerings are a little bit slimmer than they were just a couple of days ago or a few days ago. So yeah, they're a very intriguing team, considering that at one point they were mentioned with like 3 of the top potential quarterback gets in this transfer portal, and they have yet to sign one. But again, they could turn around and sign Will Howard in 30 minutes from now.